the regional project that we've identified in South Australia is about developing a coaching and mentoring model specifically for the aged care environment. Now, you may ask, well, how did we come up with that as an idea? So basically, one of my responsibilities was to look for an existing network or a project that I could potentially link into. And I was fortunate to find Bev and Lee Stevens from Northern Connections 21, who are a very established government-funded body that are specifically focused in the northern suburbs of Adelaide. And as you may be aware, if you know South Australia a little bit, the northern suburbs have got some real social issues, some real kind of challenges around poverty and all sorts of the normal social issues that you'd imagine in a sort of area that's on the periphery of the main sort of wealthier metro area, shall we say. So northern suburbs has got a few challenges. There's a very high penetration of aged care facilities, a lot of residential nursing homes in the northern suburbs. And one of the big challenges in that area is really getting good quality staff to at a carer level, attracting good quality staff in the first place, and then actually getting them to stay. And attracting good quality staff, not people that just want to earn a living, but people that have got a real commitment and a real desire and a passion to work with older people. And that was a challenge that we identified through engaging with Bev and Lee, and what they were able to do was get a lot of the large aged care providers in South Australia around the table. So Helping Hand was one of them. It's great to have Helen here today.
Scraped up.
Did I say scraped up? Oh my goodness. Yeah, no. We did, so Bev and Lee managed to engage at a very senior level with some really large providers. So Resthaven, ECH, ACH, Helping Hand, the big guys that all my small and medium-sized providers refer to. So what was really good is that because of the size of the organisations that we had around the table, they were representative of a workforce, I would say, of between 6,000 and 7,000 staff, and that's quite considerable in South Australia. So what we did is we had some discussion around what their challenges, what they felt the current challenges were in terms of workforce. And as I say, we talked...
Sorry, I didn't quite hear Beverly. The coaching is for the workforce.
That's correct, for the staff, yeah. So one of the big issues in the northern suburbs, because of some of the social issues, is getting those frontline staff, attracting the right type of staff in the first place, and then encouraging them to stay so that you can get continuity and deliver good care. So there was a whole range of other challenges that we identified. However, as a group, what we decided to do is that we needed to focus on challenges that lent themselves to a collaborative solution. So, you know, there was a lot of issues that we identified that were really down to the organisation, and they didn't lend themselves to a collaborative approach. But what the stakeholders around the table decided was that if we could develop a model that helped us to identify that kind of right fit, you know, what we were really looking for. Not that they just had a certificate 3 in aged care, because we all know that the quality of output varies so dramatically from one training provider to another, but that they had the right sort of personality and attributes and attitude. So that was the first part of the requirement that we identified. And another aspect was that acknowledging that we have a lot of really experienced carers working in our organisations, and that we wanted to kind of tap into that experience from a coaching perspective, because they have so much knowledge to impart. And there's almost a disconnect at the moment in terms of new recruits coming into the environment. It's a tough environment, it's challenging. You know, as we say, Certificate 3 does not prepare us for the realities of aged care. And what we talked about was, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could actually develop our experienced staff and give them some specific coaching skills so that they could, when our new recruits come on board, when we've identified the right ones to recruit, to actually work with them and coach them in that crucial early period so that the onboarding process was a lot smoother and there was a bit more hand-holding, a bit more support. They got regular feedback on all those sorts of good coaching practices that you get in a lot of other industries, but not necessarily in aged care. Is that kind of?
What sort of coaching did you give these people?
We haven't done. Yeah, that's what we're developing, John.
Right.
So the model, the project is about identifying the ideal sort of type of candidate that we're looking to work in aged care, and then the other aspect of it is to develop a model to provide coaching for them, but also the training that those potential coaches will require so that they've got the skills to do it. Because I think there's a lot of informal coaching going on, but what we wanted to do was a more recognised sort of proactive approach, if that makes sense.
So just because of the time frame of the WIN project, we've had to sort of break it into two parts. So the WIN project, we already have an established collaboration in the north, which is our aged care providers, but also some other government agencies and local organisations. And so that group have committed that we use the WIN funding to lay the groundwork, develop the model, and then we'll use our own resources and develop a business case, and then we'll use our own resources to actually trial and evaluate that. So
what sort of coaching, though, did you have in mind? When you say coaching, what do you mean by that?
So the things
what
that
do you plan on that they would do?
Yeah, so we are quite early in the process, but what the feedback that we're getting very strongly from the care workers themselves and their managers is that it's helping people to understand the workplace, smooth the way, as Bev said, in the early period, learn the culture of the organisation, have someone that you can debrief with, that you can talk about the hard stuff the first time you do something. But also for some people we can see that there's an element of kind of building their own well-being, and that's coming through. We haven't really got to talk about this yet, but that's coming through very strongly in the first bit, that for some people who are coming into aged care, it might be their first job,
yes,
or it might be their first job after a long time out of the workforce. And so there's a whole process of actually kind of learning to be in the workplace that's going on at the same time as people are kind of learning to work in that particular
model of care, because that's often the thing that you can't pick up from training.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead. I don't want to talk to it. I was going to say it's a very specialised area, though, isn't it? It's like saying, when you say the workforce, it's not really the workforce at all, isn't it? It's a semi-medical world in which they're going to move. And perhaps, they need some education as far as that. You don't agree with that?
Oh, I think there's a move to more of a wellness social model.
Yes,
the
wellness
doctors
social,
and
yes.
doctors and nurses,
No,
but
I think that's fair enough.
that's what I was saying, getting used to the model of care that you're trying to push forward.
Yeah, and I think it's
this comes into the nature of the beast that you employ,
which is what
whether they have the personality to deal with these things.
Could I ask whether the partnership, the different large organisations, would many of them have informal mentoring and coaching programs for their staff already existing?
What they're telling us is that mostly in both residential and community care, they have a buddy shift system. So it's the first 2 or 3 shifts, you'll get someone, or in a community care setting, it might be the first 2 days or 4 days, depending on where you've come from, that you'll have somebody that will go out with you. But there's a whole lot of things. In the community setting, it's not with the people that are going to be your clients. It's with whoever the buddies' clients are.
Because your role's autonomous in community as well.
That's right.
That's another layer.
Yes, yeah. So it's much more about and the buddy will be different. I'll have you today and you tomorrow, and when I do a night shift, it'll be someone different again. So what they're saying is they want a person that they can actually build some rapport with and go back to over a period of time. I don't know how you do such and such, and I don't want to ask my manager because that might make me look incompetent, but I want to have someone at my own level that I feel comfortable and have a report.
You know, I find it fascinating that clinicians, new grad clinicians, would absolutely expect that as a matter of course to have a formal mentor and orientation, continuing education program, but we haven't had it
In aged
for
care.
our care workers
No.
or in aged care, and I find that fascinating. Why are they any different?
So evidence, research evidence suggests that, you know, if you have a coach that's giving you regular feedback and you know how you're progressing, especially in those early stages, that it has a direct impact on staff engagement, satisfaction, retention, productivity, all those real hard business indicators from when you take new staff on, all those things, all those boxes that you want to tick. However, I think there needs to be a shift of mindset as well, because some of the things that were coming out from some of the providers was, well, you know, we're too busy doing other stuff. You know, we're not funded to do that. And it's like, yeah, but okay, hang on a sec. You already know from a business case point of view, if you do that, you get much better outcomes. So one of the key outputs of our project is to actually help put together the business case that providers can take to the CEO and show them what the business benefits are of coaching in the workplace, because that was something that came back very strongly, because people are saying to us, look, we know coaching works, but we need some budget. We need to go to our CEOs and say, okay, we need extra people, we need specialist development, we need to acknowledge. No, exactly. It's not just informal and ad hoc.
And I think what we're talking about fundamentally, the important piece of the jigsaw is a clinical governance framework that's appropriate for aged care, both home and residential. I mean, mentorship, preceptorship, coaching is all part of that. So that's another part in workforce planning, both as a provider of services to older people, keeping into consideration the continuum of care. So that's what we're doing at the moment, developing our model of care, a clinical governance framework, a workforce plan. All the pieces interlock and they're part of the same puzzle.